The Justice League Watchtower is falling out of orbit. A cosmic anomaly has knocked it off course, drained its power, and the greatest heroes on the planet, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, Green Lantern, Hawkgirl, cannot fix it. The station built to protect Earth is about to become the thing that destroys it. And Batman, the man with a contingency plan for every contingency plan, makes one call. He calls a teenager from Dakota City, not Superman, not Green Lantern, a 16-year-old kid on a trash can lid. And here's the thing, Virgil Hawkins doesn't just power up the Watchtower, he saves it from Brainiac. The same Brainiac the entire Justice League had already failed to permanently stop. The same Brainiac that Batman himself called a virus that won't die. Two kids, no adult supervision, held that station together until the League could return. But the DCAU never fully reckoned with what that moment meant, because Virgil Hawkins was never supposed to be at that level. Static Shock was a Saturday morning cartoon character from a Milestone Comics property that wasn't even originally part of the DCAU. He was supposed to be the friendly neighborhood hero of Dakota City. Fun, witty, relatable. The kind of hero kids could root for without the stakes getting too real. The DCAU underestimated him from day one, and he spent 4 seasons making them regret it. To understand why Static's ceiling was always higher than anyone gave him credit for, you have to understand where Virgil Hawkins actually came from. Dakota City, Paris Island, not the nice part of town. The kind of neighborhood where a kid watching his mother get killed in gang crossfire isn't a backstory, it's just Tuesday. Virgil's father, Robert, ran the local youth center, trying to give kids something worth showing up for, and Virgil absorbed all of that. He was the kid who read comics, cracked science jokes, and genuinely believed being smart was a superpower before he had any actual ones. Now here's the part people always skip over. The night of the Big Bang, Virgil wasn't there because he wanted power. He was there because he almost made the worst decision of his life. His bully hot streak had pushed him too far. A friend invited him to the docks. Virgil showed up with a gun he'd borrowed, ready to settle it. He put the gun down before anything happened. He walked away. Then the tear gas canister hit the experimental mutagen barrels, and the Big Bang happened. And everyone in that radius got powers, and most of them became supervillains. Virgil walked into the worst night of his life, trying to be the bigger person, and walked out as Static. That's not an accident, that's character. Dwayne McDuffie created Static as a black teenage Spider-Man, the wisecracking everyman who uses his brain as much as his powers. But what McDuffie actually built was something more specific. Virgil's scientific mind meant he didn't just throw lightning. He built static traps. He improvised on the fly. His creativity was the power. The electromagnetic abilities were just the delivery system. And that's the reason his ceiling was always unlimited. But let's be honest about where Static started. Season 1 Virgil was figuring it out. His very first major fight against Hotstreak ended badly. He got unmasked by his own friend Frida while trying to protect her and eating pavement in the process. He had the powers and had absolutely no idea what to do with them, and the DCAU's treatment of him reflected this. When Static crossed over into the broader universe in Season 2's The Big Leagues, Virgil spent most of the episodes starstruck by Batman. He was asking the Joker, the actual Joker, voiced by Mark Hamill, to please stop hurting people, like a please would work. That man had to pull him out of his own naivety. The episode ends with Batman giving him a conditional stamp of approval. Not bad. Coming from Batman, that's high praise, but it's still the ceiling being set deliberately low. Even when he made it to the Watchtower in Season 3, the Justice League treated him like a walking battery. They didn't call him because they respected his capabilities, they called him because they needed his electricity and had run out of options. Green Lantern John Stewart floated the idea that Static might join the team someday. Everyone else just sent him home. The DCAU saw Static as a resource. They hadn't understood yet that he was a peer. But here's what nobody wanted to acknowledge. Static was doing things that should have permanently changed the conversation about where he belonged. When Brainiac took over the Watchtower and lured the Justice League away with a false distress signal, it was Static and Gear, 2 teenagers, who held the line. Brainiac, a Kryptonian superintelligence that Batman called impossible to truly destroy, declared the station his. 2 kids from Dakota City said no. Static absorbed the energy Brainiac was weaponizing against them and redirected it. They held the most dangerous artificial intelligence in the DCAU to a complete standstill. Check. The Watchtower's power drain had been caused by a cosmic superstring, an anomaly with energy output comparable to a solar flare, and Static recharged it. A teenager from Dakota City absorbed the energetic aftermath of what a solar flare leaves behind and pumped it back into a space station. Check. In Future Shock, Static got sent 40 years into the future, the Batman Beyond era. Terry McGinnis didn't want to work with him, called him inexperienced, and then the show revealed what the DCAU had been quietly building toward the entire time. In the 2040s, Virgil Hawkins was one of Earth's greatest heroes. His powers had grown to a scale the series never fully depicted in the present. He had a son who was also a hero. The Justice League was out near Alpha Centauri, actual deep space, and Future Static was the one left holding things together on Earth. When he finally got free and faced the Cobra soldiers, he dispatched them with a flick of his fingers. That's it, a casual gesture. Check. Here's what makes Virgil Hawkins different from every other hero in the DCAU. Every single one of them got a moment where the universe acknowledged what they were. Superman got Metropolis, Batman got Gotham, Wonder Woman got the Justice League treating her as an equal from day one. Even the newer additions to the team, Green Arrow, Black Canary, Huntress, walked into the expanded Justice League in Unlimited and got to stand on that floor without having to audition first. Static had to keep proving it over and over and over again. And the disrespect was so consistent, so institutional, that after a while, you start to wonder if anyone was actually watching what he was doing. Let's start with the Watchtower call itself, because the way it happened matters as much as the fact that it happened. Batman didn't call Virgil because he'd been watching his growth and decided he was ready for the next level. Batman called him because the Watchtower needed a recharge, and Static's body happened to produce the right kind of output. He was a solution to an electrical problem. When Virgil arrived at the Watchtower, the most advanced structure in the DCAU, the headquarters of Earth's greatest defenders, the Justice League was visibly annoyed that he and Gear were there. They made it clear they were guests, inconvenient ones. Green Lantern had to remind the others to be civil. A kid who would go on to hold that same station against Brainiac was being treated like he'd shown up uninvited to a party. Then there's Batman himself. The relationship between Batman and Static across their multiple crossovers is genuinely fascinating if you watch it closely, because Batman never fully commits. He gives Virgil just enough validation to keep him moving forward, and never one word more. Not bad, after the Joker episode. A raised eyebrow here, a nod there. For a man who adopted Dick Grayson and mentored Tim Drake and clearly understands what it means to shape a young hero's development, the restraint he shows with Virgil is pointed. It's not cruelty, it's something more frustrating than cruelty. It's a ceiling being managed. And the Future Shock episode makes this explicit in a way the show almost breezes past. When Static is sent to the future and meets Terry McGinnis, Terry's first instinct is dismissal. He doesn't want the younger Static involved in the mission. He considers him a liability. This is Batman Beyond Terry McGinnis, a teenager himself, operating with a fraction of Bruce Wayne's experience, looking at the present-day Static and deciding he's not ready. The irony is almost painful. Terry is standing in a future where Virgil Hawkins became one of Earth's greatest heroes. He is literally surrounded by the evidence of what Static becomes, and his first move is still to tell him to step back. But here's the part that reveals everything about who Virgil Hawkins actually is. He doesn't argue, he doesn't sulk, he doesn't demand respect he hasn't operationally earned in that specific context yet. He gets to work. Every single time someone underestimates him, Static's response is the same. He finds the problem, he solves it, and he lets the result do the talking. When the Justice League sent him home from the Watchtower after the Brainiac incident, he went home. He didn't hold a press conference. He didn't demand a membership card. He went back to Dakota City and kept protecting the people who needed protecting. That is not the behavior of someone performing humility. That is the behavior of someone who is genuinely secure in what they are. And the thing is, the disrespect was never really about Virgil's capability. Even his enemies understood the threat he represented. Eben, one of the most powerful and calculating bang babies, a man who could travel through any shadow on Earth, spent 2 full seasons trying to bring Static to his side before deciding to destroy him. Eben knew, you don't spend that much effort recruiting someone someone you consider a minor obstacle. You recruit them because you know what they can become and you want it pointed in your direction. The villain understood Static's ceiling before the Justice League did. Let that sit for a second. And what about his own city? Dakota treated Static as their hero genuinely and completely. But even there, the scope of what he was doing was lost on most people around him. His father knew his secret identity and supported him. Richie was his partner. Beyond that tight circle, Virgil was carrying the weight of an entire city's metahuman crisis. Hundreds of bang babies, each one a unique power set, each one a potential catastrophe, largely alone, largely without credit, and largely without anyone in the wider DCAU noticing the scale of what that actually required. Batman handled Gotham, but Gotham's criminals didn't have superpowers. Virgil handled Dakota, and almost every threat he faced had abilities that would have required a Justice League response anywhere else. The disrespect was never loud, it was quiet and structural, and it ran through the entire DCAU's relationship with Static, from the first crossover to the last. And Static's answer to all of it was the same every time. He just kept going. Future Static then appeared in Justice League Unlimited's The Once and Future Thing two-parter, one of the most cosmically high-stakes stories in the entire DCAU. Kronos was rewriting time itself. The surviving heroes in the 2040s included Batman, Static, and almost nobody else. Static in that timeline wasn't a guest star. He was the last line of defense for a version of Earth being erased from history. He belonged in that room completely. Check. And his power set never stopped growing. What started as controlling electricity and writing a trash can lid became full mastery of the electromagnetic spectrum, magnetism, energy generation, sensing infrastructure, redirecting kinetic force. Every season, Static found new applications because Virgil's scientific mind kept expanding what he could do with what he already had. He wasn't just getting stronger, he was getting smarter about his own power. That's a different and far more terrifying kind of growth. Check. The DCAU gave Static 4 seasons and 2 crossover eras. He used them to quietly become one of the most important heroes the universe ever produced. Now let's talk about the real rival here, because it wasn't Hotstreak, it wasn't Eben, it wasn't any of the Bang Babies. Static's biggest rival in the DCAU was the universe's own low expectations for him. Think about this. Static Shock wasn't originally part of the DCAU. It became part of it because the Batman crossover worked so well that the creative team kept threading the universes together. Static earned his way into the DCAU canon through performance alone. He was the only character who started outside the universe and worked his way in. And once he was in, he consistently outperformed everything anyone expected from him. The show ended in 2004, 4 seasons, 52 episodes, canceled before it could show us what peak Virgil Hawkins actually looked like in real time. The future versions showed up in Batman Beyond and JLU and told us the answer was one of Earth's greatest heroes. But the main series never got to complete that arc. And that is the single biggest injustice in the DCAU, because the Static we saw, the teenager recharging space stations, holding Brainiac to a standstill, impressing a future Batman who didn't impress easily, that was year 1 through 4. That was the floor. Year 4 Static was already operating at the edge of Justice League tier. The DCAU never showed us what year 10 looked like, but future Static did. And if I'm being honest, the Justice League wasn't ready for what that would have become. In 2025, DC announced Batman/Static Beyond, a new 6-issue series set in the Batman Beyond era where adult Virgil Hawkins is a full Justice League member, pioneering a technological revolution. That's not a legacy character getting a victory lap. That's a man finally getting the spotlight the DCAU promised and never fully delivered. Dwayne McDuffie built Static as something comics had never really tried before. A black teenage hero from an urban neighborhood dealing with real-world problems, with a power set limited only by his creativity and a moral foundation rooted in watching his father try to save a neighborhood one kid at a time. That combination was always going to produce something special. The DCAU figured that out eventually. They just figured it out 4 seasons too late. Virgil Hawkins recharged the Watchtower. He stopped Brainiac with a teenager and a backpack. He impressed a future Batman who had seen everything. He became one of Earth's greatest heroes in a timeline where Superman and Wonder Woman were still active. The DCAU was afraid of Static Shock becoming exactly what he was always going to become. They just couldn't stop it. And that's the thing about Virgil Hawkins. He never asked for any of it. He put put the gun down and walked away from the docks, and the universe handed him a responsibility he didn't ask for, and he carried it every single time. Drop a comment. Where does Static rank among the greatest heroes in the entire DCAU when all is said and done? If you're already subscribed, you already know what it is. You are built different. And as always, have an awesome day.